Hello YouTube and fellow Wasteland Wanderers, welcome back to The Bigger Pixel. I am, as always, your host, the Gaming Mandroid. Today I thought we would take a look at a very interesting quest that has a lot of great rewards, and that is essentially the quest Secret of Cabot House. Now, really we're going to be talking about 3 quests. The first 2 are a little bit shorter, and they're the prerequisites to get in. But there's a lot of rewards, and eventually we're going to get the Charisma Bobblehead once we finish that final quest. So let's take a look at it. So to start things off, you just want to travel to Bunker Hill, and there you will be approached by a ghoul dressed in combat armor, Edward Deegan. And he will offer you a job, and he's going to say that I have a new job for you, but first you need to interview with my employer, because my employer likes to interview all new hirees. He's very careful like that. And he's going to point you first to Cabot House before you do anything else. Now, if you have previously visited the Parsons State Insane Asylum, then Deegan may comment on this, especially if you killed some of the guards. He may guilt trip you for that a little bit. But I don't believe that it's actually necessary that you have been there before. I think all that is necessary is that you most likely are over level 10. I do believe that there is a level requirement on the trigger for this quest to start. And I do think it matters that you are in Bunker Hill. I don't believe I have ever seen Deegan appear anywhere else. So now that you've accepted this quest from Deegan, you are off to Cabot House to meet Jack Cabot, and this is where things are going to start getting interesting. So if you haven't been to Cabot House before, it is essentially north of Goodneighbor, right by the shore, near the bridge that travels north from kind of that whole Bostonian mainland. So right by the shore there, you'll be able to recognize it pretty easily based on its courtyard that is very identifiable. You'll kind of be passing through a very narrow alleyway, and then suddenly you'll open up into this very pristine, well-maintained courtyard, and there'll be both a sentry bot and a Mr. Handy kind of patrolling that area, and they do have some unique dialogue, I believe. I think one of them tells you to stay off the grass or something. But anyways, once you're there, approach the intercom that is by the door there. Now you'll notice that the door is locked. The intercom you can talk into, and this is where you'll speak to Deegan. Now, if Deegan never did approach you before, it is possible for you to go straight here and speak to Deegan yourself. Now, I do believe that you have to meet a level 10 requirement before you can actually get this quest. But assuming you can meet that requirement, then approach the intercom, and if you've already spoken to Deegan, then he's just going to let you in. But if not, he's going to say, get out of here. He's going to say, you don't want to come in here. Trust me, it's crazy in here. You don't want to know what's going on in here. Now, you can still get in as long as you pass a charisma check. So doing that, it can be a shortcut for characters with high charisma to not have to meet Deegan in Bunker Hill. So keep that in mind. So now we meet Jack Cabot, and I'll leave the particulars of his very interesting interview for you to discover. But we quickly learn that Jack Cabot is either very crazy or very interesting. But either way, he's going to send us to recover a package that was stolen from him by raiders, stolen from the Parsons State Insane Asylum that maybe you were at before. So the first thing he's going to task you with is traveling to the Parsons State Insane Asylum and contacting, I guess, his kind of head guard there to find out what the situation is and where the raiders went. And this is essentially the quest, special delivery. So upon arriving at the asylum, just find the guard captain and speak to her real briefly, and she will tell you that the raiders have stolen a mysterious serum and that they have traveled north to the Parsons Creamery. All you have to do is travel north. It doesn't take very long at all, but once you get to them, you'll find about 6 or 7 of the raiders there. They'll even get into an argument, actually, if you sit there and listen. But go ahead, take them out, and you'll find on the bodies of one of them a single copy of the mysterious serum. And once you look at this thing, you're going to realize why this quest is getting more and more interesting. So if you take a glance at the mysterious serum, you're going to realize that this thing is powerful. I've heard a lot of other people say that this is the best drug in the game. I think that is debatably true. It's definitely the best drug in the game for, say, a melee weapons user. So let's look at the effects. It gives you plus 5 strength, plus 50 damage resistance. That's crazy. And it says minus 36,000 radiation, but this is kind of misleading. What that means is that it's minus 10 radiation per second for 1 full hour. So once you've picked this bad boy up, go ahead and head back to the Cabot house to turn in this quest. and return the mysterious serum to Jack Cabot. Now, if you would like, you can use a persuasion check. It's not too tough a persuasion check to lie to him and keep the mysterious serum for yourself. This will come at the expense of a small cap reward, but it's up to you. Keep in mind that the mysterious serum is essentially a rare commodity. You might want to keep it, honestly, because it's not going to affect too much otherwise. Now, you are also going to notice the moment you walk in that there's a commotion going on. Jack's mother has appeared, and she is complaining and encouraging Jack to help her find Emogene. And Emogene, whom we have not met yet, is, of course, Jack's younger sister. So, essentially, after all the dialogue, Deegan is going to convince Jack to let you go in search of Emogene. And that is when you're going to get the quest, Emogene Takes a Lover. So to start this quest, what you're going to do is head to Good Neighbor. Once you're in Good Neighbor, just head around the corner to the third rail, the main bar area, I guess, of Good Neighbor, and head downstairs. If you want, you can talk to Charlie first, because Magnolia will probably be singing, and then eventually Charlie will point you to Magnolia as being a friend of Emogene's who might know where she's at. So you'll probably have to interrupt her singing. Too bad, she is a pretty good singer. But once she comes down, you can talk to her, and it will take a bit of a tough charisma check to get her to offer this information freely. But at that point, she will bring up that she saw Emogene and that she left with a certain preacher known as Brother Thomas. Then she's going to call the bouncer over and ask if he remembers anything, and then he's going to say, oh, well, he left this pamphlet here one time. And once after you get through all that conversation rigmarole, you're going to find out that you have to head to the Charles View Amphitheater. Now, the Charles View Amphitheater is pretty nearby Good Neighbor. It's just a little bit to the northwest. From there, I do believe there's a road that pretty much walks straight to it. Won't take you long. It's by the shore. So once you get there, you'll see all these followers of Brother Thomas wearing all the same clothes, and basically you're gonna go and talk to him, and you're gonna quickly find out that they are all part of a cult called the Pillars of Community. Now, you can talk to Brother Thomas if you like. You can listen to his pitch. It is a little bit funny to hear him try to recruit you into his cult. And if you do decide to talk to him, there are basically 3 routes to get him to release Emogene into your control. And those would be to either persuade him, to threaten him, or to bribe him. Or you can bypass all of this and just kind of walk around to the right side of the amphitheater and find his office, and then just pick the lock and you'll find her in there. And there's pretty much no repercussions. I don't believe that the cult will even attack, even if they see you do this. Honestly, they're all a bunch of pacifists, really. So this is when you meet Emogene, and the first thing you're going to notice the moment you open the door is that she's a lot older than everyone. She appears to be older than her own mother, and is definitely older than Jack, who we know is her older brother. So obviously you're going to have dialogue options. And this is when Emogene is going to reveal to you that this mysterious serum that you have is the secret to stopping the aging process. It is their veritable fountain of youth. And yes, the thick platins, yes. So let's continue and head back to Cabot House to see what happens next. So once we return to the Cabot House and turn in Emogene Takes a Lover, we're going to find that Edward is nowhere to be found, and meanwhile Jack and his mother are arguing, actually listening to Edward on the radio, who is under attack. He's at the mental asylum, and he's being attacked by raiders, and he definitely needs backup. And they kind of think to themselves, oh, thanks for finding Emogene. But that's like small news now, based on what's going on now. So Jack is going to yet again ask you for your help, and you're going to travel together to the Parsons State Insane Asylum, where this all kind of started. And along the way, he's finally going to tell you the details. And the story is very complex, but I'll summarize it really quickly. Spoilers, by the way. Hopefully you're playing this quest, so these spoilers don't matter to you too much. But he's going to tell you about how a long time ago his father found this ancient alien artifact, and it's a crown apparently, and it just totally tainted him and poisoned his mind, and he went insane, but it gave him all this power, and it also kept him young. And this all happened hundreds of years ago, before the bombs fell, before the war, and his son Jack ended up researching this artifact and researching the effects on his father. So basically they own the entire asylum, and they did even before the war. They've been trapping their own father there for all these years, and they've been using his blood to make the mysterious serum that has kept all of them essentially immortal over the last several hundred years. So yes, this is a pretty interesting story, honestly. So you'll get to the asylum, and I'm not going to walk you through too much everything you have to do. Just follow Jack. It's not too complicated a quest. But eventually you will be brought to a room where Edward is prostrate on the ground, injured. And there on the desk just to his right, you will find the Charisma Bobblehead. And that's really the best piece of loot in this whole quest. So after finding Deegan, you and Jack will continue on alone to the main chamber where his father, Lorenzo, is imprisoned. And there you will find several raiders who are trying to break him out. Honestly, this part I don't think was ever clearly explained. I have no idea why these raiders want to free Lorenzo or what knowledge they have of his powers or promises he made. But either way, Lorenzo is, surprisingly charming, of course. And he tries to convince you, once you've killed the raiders, he tries to convince you to spare him and let him go. Meanwhile, his son Jack is telling you, no, he's too dangerous and we can't contain him anymore. We have to kill him. And Jack is going to encourage you to flip these switches around the room, which will flood Lorenzo's chamber with what he calls zeta radiation, which apparently is like Lorenzo's main weakness. Now, if you don't believe in Jack, if you don't trust what he's saying, and you think Lorenzo is an alright guy, well, you're pretty much wrong. But if you want, you can do this, and you can free him, and he'll come out. He won't attack you immediately or anything, but he will thank you and essentially promise to slaughter his own family, which he is going to do. So let's take a look at the two different sides and the rewards that they can offer. So first off, immediately, regardless of which side that you take, you have access to, I think, 6 more mysterious serums that are right there in the chamber where Lorenzo is imprisoned. So those are useful, and you can pick those up regardless of who you're siding with. Secondly, you can also get, regardless, once you return to the Cabot house, additional rooms will open up, and that will offer some more loot. Predominantly a Fat Man and a Mini Nuke that actually respawn in the house fairly quickly, so you can actually kind of start farming mini nukes off of the Cabot house, and you can do that either way, regardless of whose side you pick here. Now, the main benefit of siding with Jack is, aside from it being probably the morally superior choice, what you're going to get is about a week later, an in-game week after the quest is complete, you're going to eventually be rewarded with Lorenzo's artifact gun. And this is the final product of Jack's research on the strange alien artifact that drove his father insane. And what it is a unique gamma gun that is by far the best radiation weapon in the game. If you have nuclear physicist and you play with radiation weapons, this is a must-have weapon. You have to have it because its overall mechanics are different from the average radiation gun and ultimately much better. Instead of dealing radiation damage that reduces an enemy's maximum health, it deals direct damage that is technically radiation damage. And there are no other radiation weapons that behave that way. So it's a very, very useful gun if this is your build. It could be worthless to you if you're not into science, if you don't have the science perks, if you're not using energy weapons, if you're not using nuclear physicist. This might not be a very good gun for you. But it is the best radiation weapon for all intents and purposes. Now, looking at siding with Lorenzo, what do you get? Well, if you side with Lorenzo, he's going to travel back to the Cabot house, and you can meet him there. And he's going to pretty much have attack and kill his whole family because he's insane like that. And you can either help him, or you can side against him again now, and then essentially still end up siding with Jack. Whatever you want to do. But if you do let Lorenzo do this and slaughter everyone, what the final reward is essentially going to be is an unlimited supply of the mysterious serum. And like I said earlier, this is debatably one of the best drugs in the game, especially because it gives you that plus 50 damage resistance. There are lots of characters and character builds that really seek to use that to make up for the fact that they don't have the best armor on, because 50 is a good amount of damage resistance. But there are caveats to this unlimited supply. The reality is that you can only be given 1 per day, and that's only when you have 0 in your inventory. So over the course of this quest, you can gather as many as 13 of these mysterious serums. I didn't talk about where every single one is, but you can have as many as 13. So you have to wait until you've used all 13 to see the advantage of this side at all. And then you can get 1 more, and then you can only carry 1 at that point. He won't give you another, and you can only get 1 per day. So it's essentially an infinite supply, but it's not the most convenient supply either. So I think you can probably tell based on how I talked about this, I think you're better off siding with Jack, just because while the Mysterious Serum is good, I highly doubt you're actually going to want 20, 30 stacks of it. 13 is a decent amount to play around with it and have some fun with it over the course of your playthrough without becoming completely dependent upon it as part of your build. So I would say just side with Jack. It's easier, it's clearly the moral high ground, and you get essentially a more unique item than you would get with the Mysterious Serum. You can already get 13 Mysterious Serums. There is no other way to get Lorenzo's artifact gun other than by siding with Jack here. So that's what I would recommend personally. But it's totally up to you. You want to roleplay? You want to, maybe the serums are great for you. Do your thing. Play how you like. So anyways, that just about wraps it up here for the Charisma Bobblehead / Secret of Cabot House guide here. So thanks for tuning into The Bigger Pixel. I am, as always, your host, the Gaming Mandroid. And stay tuned next week. We're going to have more Fallout 4 content coming to you as always.